Toto Wolff is mostly known for the Mercedes team principal role, but he's much more than that. He's a very passionate leader on the track and one of the most successful team principals that managed to rack up 8 Constructors Championships for Mercedes. When you say that a man is successful in multiple areas, that automatically implies that he is rich too. Well, Wolff isn't an exception to this rule either. From his humble beginnings in Austria, Vienna, to becoming a business magnate, estimated to have $540 million net worth in 2022, here's the untold story of how Wolff built his empire. Although everybody knows him as Toto, his real name is Storge Christian Wolff. He was born to a Polish mother and a Romanian father in 1972. And although most of the time, to be successful in the F1 sport, you need to have a rich background, this wasn't the case with Torge. He lived in Vienna, Austria, and was forced to leave the school due to the passing of his father, who was severely ill, and his mother not being able to pay off the debts of his scholarship. Keep in mind that this is a private French school, so it's not something that can be paid for with small amounts of money. When Toto was forced to leave the prestigious French school, he had ambitions to start a business. However, his humble beginnings in business were very interesting. During one anti-racism protest in 1990 that included lighting a candle and walking in peace, Wolff bought a huge stock of candles to sell to the protesters. Although it was a slow start, Toto has finally had his first taste in the business and was not going to let anyone stop him by any chance. Wolff's huge passion for motorsport was woken up at the age of 17, and although the candle business didn't go well, he wanted to try himself out in the racing industry. It wasn't until he went out for a weekend to Amsterdam with a group of his friends that one of his friends, Philip Peter, was competing in the German Formula 3 Championship. I wasn't following any racing, but just before I got my driving license, a friend of ours took my group of mates out for a weekend to Amsterdam. Don't ask me what we were doing there, but on the way back we stopped at the Nürburgring, where a very dear friend of mine, Philip Peter, was competing in the German Formula 3 Championship. He was a front runner and became an Audi Works driver later on. From the moment I came into the paddock, looking around the cars, being on the grid, I caught the bug. It was the man able or not able to control this machine, and it felt like modern gladiators. That is when I said to myself, I want to become a racing driver. I was 17 at the time, said Wolff. He raced in the Austrian and German Formula 4 Championship, and at one point was offered a seat in F1. Many speculate that the main reason why he stopped racing was due to his height and weight, but this isn't the case. Wolff's motor racing career came to an abrupt end at the age of 22 because of money. I ran out of money. A sponsor stopped financing after the Senna and Wendlinger incidents in 1994, and this is why I stopped all of my racing activities, said Wolff. At the time, I was also very conscious that I didn't have the right background to make it. I lacked the go-karting background as a kid, I lacked the financing and the connections, and I thought that the business world would be the better career path at that age, added Toto. Keep in mind that Wolff is a hustler and he'll do anything to secure the bag, even if it means handing out flyers to people. You won't believe this, but during his tenure as a racing driver, he wore a golden cape and painted his face gold so he could give away leaflets for the local electronics shops. As Wolff recalled, that was one of the most embarrassing experiences in his life because people were recognizing him, but he really needed the money. One of the huge turning points in Wolff's career was the internship he took at Raiffeisen Investment Bank in Poland. This opportunity was given to him after he dropped out of Vienna University of Economics and Business. Why do you think this helped him a lot? Well, just because of this internship, he was able to join an Austrian steel company, Koloman Handler AG, and within 2 years, Toto then set up his first company, mostly representing Koloman Handler as an agent in Poland. Things have become very interesting for Toto, as he decided to take a sabbatical in the mid-90s in San Francisco. This is where he discovered the dot-com world and companies like AOL and Netscape. This is when Wolff decided to be more involved in the investment scene, as he believed that he could set up his own business and be an independent magnate. He founded his own investment company March 15 in 1998, followed by March 16 in 2004. March 16 investments were mostly focused on internet and technology companies. These two sectors were just starting to gain some traction during the period of Wolff's investments, so it's safe to say that he was one of the first to recognize the potential of the internet and technology. Wolff wasn't really keen on giving up on his racing dream, which is why he had one more tryout in his 30s, but he quit indefinitely in 2009 when an accident cost him an impaired sense of smell and taste for 6 months. Just to prove how good Toto was in the racing days of his own, he held the record of the old track of Nürburgring with his Porsche 997 RSR with a lap of 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Why is this accident so important in Wolff's career? Well, he decided to invest in F1 after it happened, buying a 16% share at Williams and becoming a director of the Formula 1 team. Wolff was the team's director when Williams won the Spanish GP in 2012, and it was clear to him that this job suits him very well. You may wonder, what does this have to do with Wolff and his initial interest in becoming a manager in F1? Well, let's go back again to 2004 when Wolff started his investment companies. One of the companies that he invested in was HWA AG, which was running the Mercedes DTM team at that time. He received his lectures on management from Hans-Werner Aufried, the founder and chairman of HWA AG. Want to know how important Aufried is? Well, the A in AMG stands for his last name, as he's the founder of AMG, the company that tunes Mercedes for high performance. So, judge for yourself. AMG was later bought out by Mercedes, more precisely in 1999, as the company continued to tune the Mercedes cars to perfection. During this time, AMG was the company that stood behind Mercedes-Benz racing cars for the DTM, which is the German Touring Car Championship. Also, Wolff was co-owner of the Mercedes DTM team in 2006, and eventually he sold his stake in this company in 2015. The commencement of the current Mercedes dynasty is directly tied to Wolff's involvement. The Daimler board, which is the board of management of Mercedes-Benz Group AG, has lost faith in Ross Brawn, or at least questioned his motives, specifically the need for greater financial investment. They were convinced that the upcoming proposed budget cap didn't warrant additional investment. Wolff's background as a venture capitalist, love for racing and his close relationship with Mr. Aufried convinced the board to open the purse strings when he confirmed the team was indeed underfunded even compared to Williams. This led to a hiring frenzy, including Lewis Hamilton, Aldo Costa, Mike Elliott and Paddy Lowe, which are basically the dream team that brought Mercedes to where it is now. When Wolff joined Mercedes in 2013, the team was struggling with winning. The team called him for his opinion alongside Ross Brawn, as they would have to find a way to make the team much better than it is now. This is when Wolff took his chance to invest in Mercedes F1, as he bought a 30% stake in the team. Other investments that Wolff also made were in BRR Rally Racing, making him the co-owner of a rally team that raced in a world championship. He also bought a 4.77% stake in Aston Martin just to add more to his investment opportunities, but it was finally diluted to 0.95% as the management had to raise capital to turn the company's fortunes around. Wolff has also set up a sports management company alongside the two-time world champion Mika Häkkinen and Didier Coton called Aces Management Group, simply known as Aces Athletes Associates. One of the first signings here was Valtteri Bottas, who started to build a profile for himself in the racing world at that time. This ended when Bottas was signed to Mercedes F1 in 2016, replacing Nico Rosberg. Outside of F1, Wolff's world is a mystery when it comes to financial incomes. He has pulled the right moves at the right times, and thanks to his ability to overcome adversity, he managed to become what he is today. A net worth of $540 million speaks for itself, and although many would like to mock him for the infamous "No Mickey," no, that is so not right. After last year's finale, Wolff is arguably one of the most successful businessmen and team principals when it comes to the racing world. Be sure to check out the next video here. Take care and drive safely.